I will open this public hearing for an ordinance repealing Chapter 14, Section 14-42 of the Gillette City Code regarding malicious harms and amending Chapter 16, Sections 16-1B and 16-2 of the Gillette City Code to delete reference to the Gillette City Code, Section 14-42. So is there anyone here for this public hearing? Okay, I gotta see a lot of hands. So this young lady right here up front. Yep, I think Vicky.
I'd let her go first.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Amy Caldwell. I reside at 66 St. Andrews Lane here in Gillette. Are you ready?
Yes, your time has started.
My name is Amy. I am a teacher, a parent, and a proud member of this community. Before I begin my comment, I would like to thank each of you for the time you dedicate to making Gillette the kind of community that we all love to call home. It is a difficult and thankless job, and I thank you. As a teacher, I see every day how much our young people pay attention to what adults choose to stand for and what we choose to ignore. When we back away from laws that protect people from hate and intimidation, it teaches the wrong lesson, that cruelty and fear can win. That's not the message I want my students to learn. As a community, we are becoming more and more accepting of hate. This in turn leads to intimidation and malicious actions. As a parent, this issue cuts even deeper. My adult child, is transgender. They no longer live in this community because they did not feel safe to stay here and live and build a career. That loss of trust didn't happen in a vacuum. It comes from real experiences of intimidation and silence. Why are we okay with removing a protection that would help the others in our community feel safe? I don't understand this. At the No Kings rally in June, a man with a holstered gun stood staring at a small group of LGBTQ kids and friends. He locked eyes with them several times and repeatedly patted his gun. He didn't have a word to say. Words weren't necessary. The threat was clear. This kind of behavior is the kind that this ordinance was written to address. As a community member, I know Gillette can do better. We aren't a city of hate. We are neighbors who look out for one another, even when it's uncomfortable. This ordinance doesn't criminalize beliefs. It simply states what hate fuels a crime. It harms our whole community. Thank you.
Next person, please.
Hi, my name is Amber Lewis. I'm at 600 South Garner Lake Road, space 72.
I'm sorry, did you say Amber?
Amber Lewis.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. Sorry, that's my, Alicia, if you want to start it over, I just want to make sure I heard the name right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I also want to thank all of you for your time this evening. I know your time is precious and I appreciate it. So I want to go over a few things that I have heard about online about it being special treatment. We have often a lot of things that are aggravating circumstances in crimes that would get special treatment. Domestic violence for this month gets special treatment because we understand that these people are vulnerable and that they need extra protection. Even our police officers get extra protection, as well they should. The children, the elderly, all these people, because they are vulnerable members of our society and are targeted members of our society, can get special protections to make crimes aggravated. That said, I've seen a lot of things of we haven't used the crime or this ordinance, so it's not necessary. And I can say, when my ex-husband was transferred up here for a job, we all moved up here to stay together as a family. One of my very first experiences in Gillette was going school shopping with my little 10-year-old girl and being attacked by 4 men who said I was too tall to be a real woman. That was one of my very first experiences here. Not long after, less than a year, my child, a teenager, was bullied to the point where they almost lost their lives. These children, because they are a member of the LGBTQ community, took her into the stairs, tried to get her to jump off the building. This is happening in our community, and these people do need protections. And we need to send a loud and clear message that this kind of action will not be tolerated. Because as we do not repeal any special protections for other marginalized people in our communities. The only reason to repeal this one specifically is to target those people that can be the most vulnerable within our community. That same child who was almost bullied to death wants to be either EMS or a trauma surgeon, and they want to get out of here. And I want them to stay in our hospitals. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Next up, please.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, I was unaware that it was 2 minutes. I have written this, it's very important to me, and you'll just have to cut me off. I will give you the rest, and I did call and leave a message. I see my names were not listed. My name is Joanne Tweedy, and I rise tonight to urge not to repeal Gillette's hate crime ordinance. I've lived in Gillette for 75 of my 81 years. I've seen Gillette grow and prosper. I lived during the days when the major hub was KKK. Fortunately, that's gone. This ordinance doesn't create special rights. It protects all people, regardless of race, religion, gender, background, from being targeted because of who they are. When someone is attacked or threatened because of their identity, that harm doesn't stop with one person. It spreads fear against the entire group. It damages the trust that holds the community together. This ordinance tells the world that Gillette stands for fairness and decency, and that we judge people by their actions and not by their appearance or beliefs. In Wyoming, we cherish freedom. We value personal responsibility. We don't believe in government should tell us what to think, how to worship, what our opinion should hold. But we do believe that a line must be drawn clear between thought and harmful action. This ordinance does exactly that. It doesn't punish beliefs. It doesn't police religion or speech. It punishes criminal acts of violence or intimidation motivated by hate, because government should never regulate religion. Our founders made it clear the role of government.
I'll let you finish that sentence.
Thank you. And I'll finish the ending if I could. Our founders made it clear the role of government is to protect rights, not implore theology. When laws start reflecting one group's or religion's beliefs over another, we stop being a free society.
I need you to
And I
stop
thank you for your time. May I add this to your?
If you would like to
Agenda.
give it to Chief,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Good evening, members of the council and mayor. My name is Heidi Kennedy, and I'm at 3811 Chippewa. I stand before you tonight to speak against the proposed repeal of the malicious harms ordinance. This discussion isn't about inventing a new legal concept. It's about validating the values we already hold and legislate as a community. Some might suggest this ordinance improperly singles out certain groups, but our existing legal code is already filled with necessary special designations. We, as a society, have already determined that certain crimes, due to the vulnerability, or relationship of the victim, warrant specific attention. Consider some of our state laws. We have specific statutes for the strangulation of a household member, something I see in the blotter all the time, differentiating it from general assault. We distinguish between sexual servitude of a child and of an adult, rightly imposing a stiffer sentence for the crime against a child. When it comes to taking a life, we recognize layers. We have homicide, vehicular homicide, and specific sentencing enhancements for the homicide of a pregnant woman. We acknowledge the seriousness of crimes against our most fragile citizens through laws governing the abuse and neglect of vulnerable adults. Even the specific inclusion of female genital mutilation on our records show we have historically and rightly singled out crimes where the victim's specific status or identity is the target. Every single one of these laws recognizes a fundamental truth The nature of the crime and the status of the victim matter. We have collectively decided that physically harming someone because they are a child, a household member, or a vulnerable adult is uniquely abhorrent to a civil society. I stand to say that a crime against a person, may I finish this
I'll let you finish
little
that
bit?
sentence.
I stand to say that a crime against a person because of their race, their gender, their sexual orientation, their religion, their disability, etc.,
I need to stop you there, ma'am.
are equally abhorrent. Thank you.
Next up.
Hello, Mayor Lundvall and City Council. Thank you for allowing the public to weigh in.
Your name, please.
My name is Karen Eberts.
Thank you.
And I live on Brorby Boulevard. I'm a longtime Gillette resident and staunch ally of the LGBTQ+ community. Way back 2 years ago, when the ordinance was first proposed and debated, a majority of you agreed that we need to protect the most marginalized and vulnerable among our neighbors. When a crime against someone or destruction of their property is accompanied with a racist or homophobic slur or an anti-Semitic wording, these are crimes meant to send a message to a class of people. The message is clearly malicious and is meant to drive these people away from the community. We know these incidents have happened here before. Unfortunately, they will continue to happen in the future. 2 years ago, I said, and I'll say it again, malicious harm crimes are dangerous, heartbreaking, and traumatizing for the victim. They are also traumatizing to the group and to the community as a whole. When we don't confront the crime for what it is and take it seriously, we're giving tacit permission for these types of crimes to continue. That's when we lose people who are our friends, our neighbors, and people who work with us. So let's have an honest discussion of malicious harms crimes, and let us be careful with the language we use. We should not be fueling the fires with dehumanizing terms or unfounded fears about people who we don't really understand. Let's take the time to try and understand who really is targeted in our community. Whether you're black, white, or brown, Christian, Muslim, or atheist, straight or gay, the malicious harms ordinance covers you if you have been targeted with a crime based on your identity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Breland. I live at 2301 Nogales Way, apartment 205. For me, it's pretty simple. You need me to repeat my name? Anything like that?
Yeah. Nope, you're good.
Okay, cool. So for me, it's pretty simple. It's common sense. I really think that if I go to a bar and I get into some kind of bar fight, that's one thing that deserves punishment, that I need to be inducted into the legal system for that. But if I go out and I look for somebody to go assault for some characteristic that they have, that deserves another level, an increased amount of punishment. And for the public safety, they ought to be removed from the public for a longer period of time, because those people are clearly more dangerous than, again, someone that just gets in some random fight. And that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Good evening, Rolf Ahrens, Ward 2. Thank you for the time, Mayor and Council. A young man arrives to Gillette to work in the energy industry. A growing family is relocating here. An entrepreneur is coming to Gillette to set up her new business. Welcome to Gillette. We are a hardworking, God-fearing community with much to offer. But first, let me tell you about our hate crimes ordinance. Welcome to Gillette. Quoting from a County 17 article, May 17, 2023. Mayor, the mayor also took issue with previous claims that Gillette's lack of an anti-hate crime ordinance meant that companies don't want to bring their business here. He said that as mayor, he speaks with company leaders and the issue has not come up once. The second part is really compelling, Mayor. If something like a hate crime were to take place, the mayor said, there is not a doubt in his mind that the community would stand firm against that hate. The community would stand firm against that hate. Well said, Mayor. Thank you for that. In that same article, it was noted that the Gillette police were criticized during public comment on the hate crimes. They were accused of not doing their jobs, necessitating this new ordinance as we're hearing. The police crime blotters, which someone else referenced in the various newspapers and media, bear witness to the great job our officers do. This ordinance has changed the mathematics of Gillette. It has added to and multiplied the division that's here in Gillette. There are better ways. Please repeal this ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Dean Vomhoff, Norwood Drive, Gillette, and I'm thankful that you're put this on the ballot to repeal it, that you're working toward that. I think the hate crime bill was named appropriately. It has caused more hate and division in this town than Antifa did the year before the hate crime bill was adopted. I think the hate crime bill was put in place because of the library situation when they tried to hire a transvestite to do a magic show for children. Some of us opposed that, protested at the library. The following weekend, a local church was vandalized. I don't know how you can avoid problems when you say a group that has sexual issues should go to the front of the line. Being lesbian or gay is your own choice, but why should you be treated better because of your sexual preference? Why should we put our wives, mothers, children at risk because some transvestite wants to invade their space in the bathroom or the locker rooms? Let's treat everyone with respect, use the restroom that matches your birth gender, and not pass laws that treat folks with identity problems differently than anyone else. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Hello, my name is Dara Corkery. I live on Roanoke here in Gillette. The malicious harm ordinance is important as it shows that we are a tolerant and equality-based community. It deters bias motivated by crime and protects the safety and dignity of vulnerable groups in our community. It also encourages law enforcement to prioritize and dedicate resources to combating such crimes, and can improve a community's image as a safe and welcoming place. Hate is demonstrated when I choose to ignore my neighbor in need, is a core interpretation found in Jesus' teachings in Matthew 5:40-42, in his Sermon on the Mount. As a Christian, I ask you to protect our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Hi, my name's Dave Cox, 4000 Forest Road. I'm speaking to you tonight as a mixed-race combat veteran who has received very real racial prejudice against both aspects of my parentage, Hispanic and Anglo. Also, I've been received a lot of discrimination against me based on my military service, wearing a uniform on a college campus, member of the ROTC. I agree with a lot of people in here that hate, if that is the sole purpose of the crime, needs to be legislated against. But unless it protects everybody, it doesn't really protect anybody. It should be everybody, every single one of us, or not at all. If we're going to do this, let's make sure it covers veterans and pacifists, communists, atheists, Christians, everybody equally, whether for their ideas or for their political preferences. From the radical communist to the goose-stepping fascist, everybody needs to have that kind of protection. Or, like I said, it's nothing at all. If you're out there looking for people to do hateful things, and trust me, as a victim of violent crime, I know that all those things are malicious, regardless of the reasons that they're done. And we do need to do something about it. If not, I urge you to get rid of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Hi, thank you so much for the time to speak to you. My name is Tanya Crumwright. I live on Greenwood Avenue. And my husband and I rarely come to council meetings, but we feel it's important enough to be here tonight. I strongly oppose the effort to repeal our city's malicious harm ordinance. The ordinance reflects our community's commitment to protecting every resident from acts of violence and intimidation that are meant to cause deep, targeted harm. More than just a law, this ordinance is a statement of our shared values, that we believe everyone in our city deserves to live without fear and that we will not tolerate acts of targeted cruelty. Even if enforcement isn't frequent, its presence draws a clear line against hate and harm. Repealing it would blur that line and suggest that our community is willing to look the other way when people are targeted because of who they are or for what they believe. This repeal would send the wrong message, that the safety and dignity of our neighbors matters less than the convenience or politics that shows up in this room. It would tell victims that their pain doesn't matter and tell those who seek to cause harm that this city won't hold them fully accountable. That's the opposite of the message we should be sending. Keeping this ordinance in place affirms that we value safety, respect, and inclusion for everyone who calls this city their home. And I have raised a family and lived in this city for over 21 years and have seen the harm that is caused by this kind of targeted cruelty. And I think we're just sending a horrible message that's driving people out of this community. And I hope you really reconsider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Christy Garrett's 2410 Knollwood Drive. I have a question for Alicia. I know 3 or 4 other people wrote letters to admin, and I also wrote each of you a letter. And she said there was only one that was for keeping the harmful, malicious harms ordinance on the books. And I don't understand why.
I'll let Administrator Cole, would you stop the time just real quick if you hadn't already? Administrator Cole, would you mind touching on this just so we're clear?
Comments that are received by the city clerk's office on behalf of the governing body are read at a council meeting. Comments that are sent through the admin account are directed just to the council members. So official comments that go through the clerk's office are what's read during the council meeting. So in your case, you probably sent it through the admin account, and it was indeed forwarded to all the council members.
Okay, and so who do we send it to if we want it to be part of the
The
record?
city clerk's office.
City court's office?
That's correct.
Okay, I'll figure that out later. Okay, well, thank you.
Just to be clear, city clerk office, not city court.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just heard about the city courts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity to speak. Right on the heels of being in the national news for awarding our librarian $700,000 for being fired because she refused to infringe on her First Amendment rights and moving books which featured LGBT plus and other diverse topics. You are proposing to repeal something that protects marginalized people in our community. Having a diverse and multicultural population is important to maintaining a vibrant culture. Please think about what message repealing the malicious harms ordinance will send to the rest of the state and the nation. We are one of just 2 states without a hate crimes law. Just when you are trying to attract outside industries, repealing the ordinance would send the wrong message. There are numerous cases of corporations deciding to avoid a community due to a hostile political environment. From all accounts, this ordinance has not been an issue for anyone, which means it is doing its job well. I was really proud of our community for being one of 5 communities in the state which enacted a malicious harms ordinance. Now,
do you have a sentence?
Now you're proposing to take us back to the dark ages. Please reconsider your support for repealing this important ordinance which helps marginalized people feel safer in our community. Community, isn't that what this is all about? Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
I'm Cindy McDonald, 9 Republic Lane, Gillette, Wyoming, and I'm here again as well as what Christy had just voiced, my support for keeping this ordinance. And the only thing that comes to mind when I hear that they want to repeal this is Matthew Shepard. And I can't imagine anyone in this room or country not knowing that name and the reason that you would never, ever, ever want to experience that brutality ever again. It was very, very important that it was known throughout the world about Matthew Shepard. His ashes rest in the Washington, D.C. Cathedral. He was very prominently known across the world and songs written about him. It's just mortifying to hear that anyone would want to backtrack and not say, we're not using this ordinance. Well, why would you want to experience anything bad again? I just can't understand it. It should stand that we won't tolerate hate against anyone, including veterans, including women, including strong white men. It shouldn't be tolerated. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name's Clint Copping. I live at 605 Rockpile Boulevard. I've been in Gillette since 1983. I see this quite simply. I have always believed our laws and ordinances are written to be applied to all of our citizens equally. This ordinance has the effect of making certain groups more equal than others. I think it should be repealed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Catherine Pointer, Ward 2. What I will read has been publicly circulated, and it's also well worth hearing again. It's for repeal. The hate crime ordinance's emotionally charged name is used to sway opinion, but should not override principles of liberty and equality. The city government should not have the authority to define hate or decide which citizens deserve more protection. Crimes are already illegal, regardless of the victim, and enhancing punishment based on thoughts, a thought crime, turns justice into subjective ideology. Adding special categories for punishment creates legal preference, not equality. All heinous crimes are already punishable. So a separate, quote, hate crime, end quote, category is unnecessary and risks policing thought. It risks policing thought. Government defining hatred leads to defining virtue. What's virtue? I'm sure everyone here can define virtue a different way. They're going to define virtue, which threatens freedom and sets dangerous precedents. The ordinance's supporters are well-intentioned, well-meaning.
Ma'am, please do not do that again.
But the law creates
Ma'am,
division.
just to be clear, please do not do that again.
I was trying to say something good to them, but that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I understand. But the law creates division and special classes instead of true security. I was trying to be all-inclusive. The community already judges intentions and character, and that responsibility belongs to citizens, not government. Gillette's shared values of faith, family, and responsibility make the ordinance unnecessary. I have 2 more sentences.
I need to stop you there.
But you interrupted me, so I should get 2 more sentences.
Ma'am?
Ben Decker, Ward 1. I just want to say thank you for anyone who's voting to repeal this. Just want to say thanks for looking beyond the surface of it as well. I think even if it's well-intentioned, we can look at other places and what it's led to, and it doesn't really do what it's intended to do. It ends up creating more division, causing more conflict, and maybe changes who's discriminated against, but leads to more discrimination. Thanks.
Next up, please.
Hi, I'm Susan Clary, 32 Bauman Pass, and I agree with what Ben just said. You need to research this. Call other communities that have this ordinance and see how successful it's worked. See if it's divided their community like it obviously has divided ours. But I want to make a point about Matthew Shepard. That was the case of a drug deal gone bad, and his perpetrators were punished. So that did go punished. And our laws are for everyone, and everyone is under that law. And I don't think one more detailed law is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Hi.
Good
Thank
evening.
you for allowing us to get up and speak. Dear Mayor and honorable council members, I urge you to vote against...
Your name, please.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sherry Inkland, 3610 Carter
Would you please
Avenue.
start it over just because I want to make sure that's on the record?
Sherry England?
Yep.
3610 Carter Avenue.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thanks. Okay. I urge you to vote against the repeal of the malicious harms ordinance. This ordinance, adopted 2 years ago, provides crucial deterrence against specific acts of property damage, violence, and threats motivated by bias related to sex, sexual orientation, race, and other protected characteristics. The very fact that there have been no charges filed under this ordinance is not a sign of its failure, but rather a strong indicator of its success as a preventative measure. It has set a clear standard for community behavior with no adverse consequences reported. To repeal a successful and proactive deterrent would send the wrong message to our community, potentially leaving our most vulnerable citizens exposed and signaling a retreat from our commitment to a safe and inclusive city for all. And I do have a lot of stories, but this is not the place to tell them, but there are instances out in our community, as you've heard. So it's just not an imaginary thing. This is very real. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Sherry. Next up, please.
Hi, I'm Laura Cox. I live on Forest Road. I just want to thank the members that have decided to bring this up again. I think repeal is a great idea. I want to bring up the first time, it was a very slim margin. It's a slim margin again. So to say that this is something that is, I don't know. I don't feel like having an ordinance changes the character of our community. We are who we are, with it or without it. Crimes are committed all the time, whether or not there's an ordinance on the books. Just like every other law, they're broken all the time. I don't think having an ordinance is going to prevent any kind of crime. We are not the sort of community that does this sort of thing on a regular basis. I'm not saying it never happens. I'm just saying that we're not a hateful community. I'm part of the community too, like everybody here. I don't think it's a particular issue that is going to be solved by seven members giving their opinion on. Their statement has been made. But the rest of the community, we're the ones out here. We would be the ones so-called offending. And that's, the council is different from everybody else. So I don't feel like it's necessary. I guess everyone can say whether or not it's been used proves their point. I hear other people saying that proves our side. Well, that proves my side. There have been good sides or good arguments that have made by other people who've already spoken. So I just want to say I'm in support of the repeal. So thanks for bringing it up.
Next up, please.
George Dunlap. I think you called this right. It's the hate crime. And a few years ago, we split high schools, and it split this community. You go to a football game and you sit on one side. If you sit on Thunder Basin side, they hate the Camels. And if you sit on the Camel side, they hate Thunder Basin. They call them, you want to talk about slurs? There's a lot of slurs. Where was your police officers arresting those kids? It was stupid. It's just the way life is. What is a hate crime? If a high school kid goes up to Smith's and steals a sandwich at lunch because he hates being hungry, is that a hate crime? This this ordinance has caused a division in our community we don't need. And y'all can stop that division very simply. It hasn't added anything. If you dislike someone in the community because of whatever reason, this ordinance is not going to change. If you take a baseball bat down to beat somebody up, I guarantee you're not going to stop and say, wait a minute, I can't do this because of the hate crime. It's going to happen. Now, it's against the law to beat them up with a baseball bat, but just because you have this ordinance is not going to stop it. It's not doing anything other than causing a division. There's people that are for it that are my good friends. There's people that are against it that are my good friends. And I don't like it because, you know what? We are not gaining anything from this ordinance. All we're getting is division in our community. And so we need to stop the division. It's wrong if somebody has a son or a daughter that is same-sex attraction. You shouldn't hate them because of that. You should love them. You know, the Bible says, love your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And that's what this community used to be, and that's what it needs to be. You need to just repeal this so we don't have this hate anymore. Thank you.
Next up, please.
My name's John Black, 909 Rocking T. I think what we need is some balance. Look at the history of our country over the last few years. Yes, there's been hate crimes, if you want to call it that. When I was growing up, it was if you were long hair or a cowboy, and seriously, there's a lot of hate in between it in the 70s, or Vietnam vets coming in. But we need to take a look at if someone broke the law, you arrest them and you prosecute them. You don't let them slide. You take the law and do something with it. The other side is the balance. I have a couple girls. I've heard stories in public places where girls were undressing and somebody said, I'm a girl now, but he still had genitals and went into that bathroom. He was given a choice to go to another bathroom that was neutral. He still chose to go in there. Who are we protecting? Yes, we always love one another, even people we disagree with. But we got to balance this out. I think what you're doing by repealing this will let things go, and let's get on with the people that are committing the crimes and nail them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening.
Vicki Swenson, 203 West Redwood. First, I'd like to address the fact that people are calling this the hate crime ordinance. It's not a hate crime ordinance. It's a malicious harm ordinance. And when we keep throwing in the word hate, that causes the emotional things to be stirred up. And this is not something that people are afraid that if somebody says something or is rude to somebody, physical harm to the person's body or their property has to have happened for this ordinance to come into play. So the fact that if people are talking about how people feel and we shouldn't be able to legislate that, this has to do with actual harm happening to somebody. And when they talked about this isn't the change of character of the community, I don't believe that it has. I just think it sends the message outside our community as well as inside our community that we are a community that cares for people and we feel that they have the right to be safe. I'm involved with 4 organizations that are statewide organizations, and I talk to my colleagues about all kinds of different things. And I can tell you, I can't count the number of times that people have said to me, Vicki, I think it's great that Gillette passed the malicious harm ordinance. It sends a message that they do care about people and how people are treated. And people say it doesn't make a difference, but it does make a difference. And all I want to say in closing is that I appreciate all of the time and attention that you're giving to this. And I have a lot more things to say, but I already wrote you a long email. I wrote a letter to the editor, and I attached that, and I hope you had an opportunity to read it. And thank you for approaching this with such an open mind. And what I would like to hear sometime is, why did the 4 people who voted to repeal this, what is the reasoning? I've not heard any reason, so I'd like to hear that at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, Billy Montgomery, 4105 TP Street, Gillette. I stand here before you tonight to urge you not to repeal the city's malicious hate ordinance. Repealing this law because of pressure from a political group would send a dangerous message. That our city is committed to safety equality depends on who's shouting the loudest. Repealing this ordinance risks painting our town as intolerant, which could impact how businesses, families, young professionals will view Gillette. This ordinance isn't about politics. It's about making sure that our neighbors can go about their day without fear of hate or harassment. I'm asking you to stand firm in your duty to represent the whole community, not just the loudest voices. Keep this ordinance in place and show that our city stands against hate in all forms. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for this public hearing? Okay, I'm going to close this public hearing and go to J4, please.
An ordinance repealing Chapter 14, Section 14-42 of the Gillette City Code regarding malicious harms and amending Chapter 16, Section 16(1)B and 16(2) of the Gillette City Code to delete reference to the Gillette City Code Section 14-42.
Move for approval. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to show my appreciation for everybody that showed up and participated in this, into the several dozen cards, emails, texts that I've gotten from the community, showing gratefulness of us sticking up for keeping this ordinance. In my opinion, that those messages come across a lot clearer than last time we did this. My email is full of hate, if you guys want to keep using that word. I haven't seen that from the community this time around, so that's been very grateful. I'd like to touch Vicky, hit some things. I'd like to clear a few things up. First of all, this is a malicious harm ordinance. It is not a hate crime. I have all these people that keep saying, your hate crime, the city's hate crime, you made a hate crime. We did not make a hate crime. People that use that term, you've made it a hate crime. We made a malicious harm crime that applies to everyone. The gentleman that was the vet, one of the things that was very important to me, if you ask the council, was it had to make sure that it was inclusive to every single person that walks this planet. We're not making a special class. Everyone on this side, everyone on that side, you're all special. We're all special. We need to be treated that way. I think what happens is a lot of people like to use that word hate as they can mince their words and they can turn it into talking points of what if. What if Johnny didn't like Bob and just yelled at him because he had yellow hair? That's a hate ordinance. Well, no, it's not. We don't have a hate ordinance, A. And B, as Vicky pointed out, this is an addition to a crime that's already committed. This is not its own crime. You can't just all of a sudden say, hey, Jim, you don't like people with yellow hair. You broke the malicious crime ordinance. That's not how it works. And it bothers me that our community is using the word hate as a way to drive this into division. That's what's driving the division. When we talk about the high schools being split and the division it caused, that's the people in the community that did that, right? The people that were hardcore Campbell County High School fans, they're the ones that started hating Thunder Basin. And then Thunder Basin started hating back, right? So then we have this division. So how do we fix that, right? We try to, tone down that rhetoric, right? So is it good to have crosstown rivalries? Absolutely. Is it good to have crosstown battles and hate speech and slay calling? Like I've heard full-grown adults called kids from an opposite high school names because they don't go to the high school they support. I mean, that goes right along with what we're talking about here. That is not intolerance. That is not inclusive. That's I don't like this new high school because what it's done to my sports program, so therefore I don't like the school or anyone that goes there. So I guess with that, I've been in leadership role most of my life, whether it's been running businesses. I've coached a lot of kids. I've coached a lot of your kids. Coached a lot of your kids. The one thing I learned as a leadership role is that morale is the most important thing to make a team, a community, a group of people succeed and move forward, right? So if our morale is low, then the community, our togetherness, our tightness is going to be low. I feel right now morale is low in Gillette. Between the stuff with the library, the stuff with politics, I've never seen politics divide people so much as they are now. We have all these words running around on social media: pedophilia, groomers, fascists, Nazis, libtards, communists, hate, 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 hate. Words like these are like a cancer, right? And it spreads. The more we use these terms, the more we try to inject them into everyday conversation, the more it spreads. And as most of you guys know, cancer kills, right? And there's only a few things you can do with it, right? You can ignore it and let it kill you. You can try to cure it, or you can remove it, right? And so that's what we need to do in Gillette is we need to try to remove this hate, this rhetoric, this language that we keep using back and forth to divide our high schools, to divide our children, to divide our political parties. It's okay to disagree, right? But when we just allow somebody in talking points, I'll use another example I kind of wrote down about how the hate speech, it's not a hate speech law. It's not even a hate ordinance law. It's a malicious crime. So, even in 2019, President Trump passed legislation that addressing crimes just like these. He even implemented the death penalty for extreme cases of anti-Semitism. And then we have people from our Freedom Caucus send us letters that say this kind of behavior is government overreach and it's tyranny. Okay, well, that's President Trump, right? I mean, whose side are we on, right? Like, so can we think for ourselves, or are we going to follow somebody's motion? Because if we are, you're on the wrong side of the statement, okay? The statement that was made at last meeting from the Garth lady really, really has resonated in me lately, and it was suffering in silence. How many people do we have in our community that this statement applies to? And I ask, why don't they matter? Why does their opinion, their thought, their lives not matter? We keep thinking that we're singling people out. Each one of us should be singled out and be treated with love, respect, and common courtesy. So if that doesn't matter if I'm straight, gay, trans, a midget, it doesn't matter, right? So I was just telling my good friend Jack here for the meeting that I don't care what people do with their lives as long as it doesn't harm me, my family, or my community, And I don't know why we spend so much time in our community, in our lives, worrying about what other people are doing when it has zero effect on our lives. So, to kind of wrap this up, I read a thing the other day too, believe it or not, I like to read my Bible also. I come across this and it made me feel really good inside. It's John 8:7. It recaps the story of a young lady that's accused of adultery. And she was brought before Jesus for judgment in the way of the Old Testament. They wanted her stoned to death. Jesus simply said, let him who is without sin be the first to throw the stone at her. He then went on to say, neither do I condemn her. Now go away and do not sin anymore. Right? So as we sit here and try to judge each other, we say we're Christians, we say we apply love. We have all this inclusive and love for each other, but yet we have to come in here and say, hate, 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 hate. We have a hate crime. I hear people from other towns saying we have hate. If you took the time to read the ordinance, you would know without a doubt that the word hate is not in there one time, and that it is not a speech crime ordinance. It's a criminal ordinance that has to be, a crime's already had to be committed before it even goes into action. And we keep saying that it's this new crime, we can just apply it to somebody. Well, when I say that we've only had it happen 5 times and the police department didn't have to implement it, that just proves the fact that if I say Johnny has yellow hair and I don't like him, and Johnny goes and says, hey, Jim called me, I have yellow hair, I don't like it, our police department went through the proper channels and said, this is not a hate crime. This is not a malicious ordinance. This is not anything worse than somebody just picking on a guy with yellow hair, right? So let's love each other more in our community. Let's keep the hate out of our lives, out of our ordinance, because it's not in there. I don't know why we want to keep putting that word in there, because it's not in there. And let's just listen to our communities, be inclusive of everybody, And let's quit making something into something that's not. If it said hate, I wouldn't have voted for it. If it said it was only going to single a handful of people out, I wouldn't have voted for it. It was very important for me to stand behind this, that it was all inclusive. It covered every single walk of life in America. And if you want to change it to something that it's not, you are putting your own words in the ordinance that we wrote and put on the books. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. West. I too want to thank everybody that showed up tonight and the people at home. I know this is an issue very near and dear to a lot of people's hearts in this community. I agree with Mr. West. I think there's been a lot of hyperbole around this issue. The fact that people are saying it's hate crimes. Again, it's a malicious harms ordinance. The only time it's ever even considered is if a crime has been committed. I heard a lot of different things tonight, and I just really need some more information to wrap my head around this. I hear folks say that this has caused such a division in our community. I would love to hear of an example of an actual fact of division that was caused in our community because of this ordinance. I'd like to see some facts that support that. I also heard something about how, we know that some instances do happen, unfortunately, in this community. How many times are acceptable? How many times are too many times? I think one time is too many times. If somebody is singled out because of their race, their religion, their sexual orientation, whatever that case may be. Again, I have heard no compelling reason why we should repeal this. Not one. I've heard of so many reasons and people reaching out. Again, I thank everybody that has sent me thank you notes and sent me text messages and emails. I do appreciate that. They have examples. They have given me examples of why we need to keep this ordinance in place. And I have heard not one single reason why we should repeal it. And when I'm making a decision, I have to weigh the pros and the cons. And I have to think of what is going to serve the greater good here. And that is how I make my decisions. A couple other things I want to say. Last week, I've been part of a group, a leadership group called Wyoming Academy. I phoned in for the council meeting last Tuesday because I was in Casper. I talked to my classmates the next day. These are people from around the state in various leadership positions, several of them elected officials, and then in other leadership capacities. They were amazed and could not believe that this was an issue that we were going to be debating again. And this is people from across the state. So they were stunned that this came up and that this was actually something that was going to be considered by our community. And the last thing I want to say is I have two children that live here, work here. One of them is an elementary school teacher. The other one is a machinist. They are in their 30s. I hear a lot from them and also a lot of their friends. I am very concerned about the message that this sends to our younger generations, to the people that are considering coming to Wyoming. We know that there is a brain drain going on in this state. We are losing our young people in this state. 2 out of 3 people in this state in their 20s will leave Wyoming. And I hear people say, oh, they'll come back. Some do, but most of them don't. And if we don't start thinking about the kind of community we are going to have here, how do we ever expect our young people who think very differently? I'm a baby boomer. I think very differently than a lot of these younger generations. And if we don't start thinking about what do we want this community to be, and how can we keep this community a place where young people want to raise their families and attract young people and businesses to our community, we're going to just blow away, dry up and blow away like Midwest and Edgerton did. We have to be proactive, and we have to start thinking about placemaking, making this a good place for people to live and work and raise their families and not worry about how their differences are going to be looked at by other people in this community. So I am firmly against repealing this ordinance, just like I was the last time. And after going through this Wyoming Academy, and we're going to have some information shared here in January, I believe, and knowing all of the things that are going on in this state, in the state's economy, it was a real eye-opener for me. So I think those are things we really need to start thinking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Cleveland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess in thinking about this and kind of where we're at again, as council members, I think one of our most important jobs is to protect people's rights. And so as I look at this ordinance and I look at what it does, it adds an extra layer of protection so that people can worship how they choose to worship and, live their lives as they please without as much fear of being persecuted. And that's why I supported it before. That's why I support it again. This ordinance doesn't elevate one group over another. It doesn't specify a particular religion. It doesn't specify a particular race. It enhances penalties in certain circumstances. And it also doesn't prohibit speech. We've heard a lot about it prohibiting speech, and speech is always protected. It always will be protected, and I'll always fight for that. It protects hate speech even. There always has to be something more than mere words for this ordinance to apply. And so I support it. I think it is a good ordinance to provide that enhanced level of protection for people, to allow them to live their lives as they please. And so, thanks.
Thanks, Councilman. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I too would like to thank each and every individual who showed up to share their concern and express that to each and every one of us. I believe that this ordinance doesn't define our community, either positively or negatively. And I would like to throw off the notion that somehow I or other members of this council are being persuaded by one political group or another, or multiple, because I have not had, and I wouldn't think any of you have been pushed by one side or the other on this issue, other than the emails that we have received recently. But I do have, being newly elected, the opportunity to speak on behalf of the residents I spoke to in every single precinct that I walked. And in every one of those precincts, this topic came up. And every one of those conversations, Mr. Mayor, they were opposed. And I think too often we get stranded in our own echo chambers because it's comfortable and it's easy and we don't have to deal with conflict. And I would encourage each and every individual, no matter your political leaning, to reach out to somebody who may or may not agree with you and go have coffee. I have lived in this community a long time. I have seen when hate tried to raise up in this community with the burning of a Quran, and this community came together and spoke against that. Christians stood with Muslims because they opposed that kind of a threat to somebody else. And I think that this community decides who we are. And I think if we're going to have an ordinance, Mr. Mayor, I think it needs to be a ballot initiative. And I think that the people of this community decide that, not 7 members. I was opposed to it then, that 7 members can decide my voice. And I think that if the people of this community have a ballot initiative driven, and it says this is what we want, then we can come back and we can write and we can decide what it says. And until that, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to stand with the people that I spoke with when I ran for office. And I let them know that if it did ever come up, I would vote against it. And those are the silent people that are not here tonight because they're raising families or they're at work. But thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I don't necessarily have anything prepared. There's arguments for and against, and it is something that, to succinctly say for how I personally feel, I stand behind what I said at the very beginning when this first came up. I truly believe in the people of Gillette that are inherently good, and they want to see everybody live their lives according to what they feel is right. If you have an issue or if you feel unsafe or you feel like you can't walk to a car or what have you, there are somebody that would stand beside you, law enforcement, somebody that would escort you or walk with you, do whatever to make you feel safe, if that is your thing. I truly think that the companies, and Councilwoman Gross mentioned this, is very right. She's absolutely right. And that is, we have to do better. We have to be better. And as your mayor, I want all people. I am your mayor for all people. We're not going to have a class. We're not going to have separation. If you want to be LGBTQ, great. That is your prerogative. If you want to be a Muslim, great. That's your prerogative. But I will not stand for any violence in this community, for whatever class. It is unacceptable. I will not tolerate it. And we want to know about it. I want to know about it. Our police chief, our law enforcement want to know about it. It is unacceptable. You are welcome here. And the message, if you're watching, if you're a business, if you're whoever you are welcome here in Gillette, Wyoming. And this council, I'm going to just speak, we will stand with you. We welcome you. We want you to be a part of this incredible community. And I can tell you, we have so much to offer that I would put Gillette, Wyoming up against many cities across this country that they would beg to have the amenities, to have the people, to have the drive, the grit, the workforce. We have to all work together. We have to all strive for things in unity that so oftentimes is so divided. So I just want to end by saying, I appreciate this council taking this up. I appreciate the comments, the emails, but I still stand by what I said before. I do not think we need this ordinance. So for clarity, Attorney Brown, just to make sure, the yes is for repealing, no is for not, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any further discussion?
With all due respect, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate everything you just said, but you're not going to be the mayor forever. So
appreciate that.
That's all I love what you're standing for, but when you're not here, who's going to stand up?
That's fair. The next mayor will be able to decide. But with that,
Let me say something, Mayor, before you go. Open the mic off.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate your statement. I think it's spot on. We need to get beyond this. This is behind us now. We need to move forward like you're talking about, and we need to do this as a team. Anything less than that is not going to work. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?